Hi everyone, this is A Call to Israel. My name is John Clark, and I'll be doing this presentation. Objective: given a classroom environment, introduce and clearly state the purpose of this fellowship, go over our tentative plan of action, describe the introduction series of videos for new audiences. The introduction. The sole objective of this fellowship is for the restoration of the ecclesia, more accurately, of Israel. We will change much of the common beliefs that today's Christianity spreads, and undoubtedly crush most, if not all, of its falsehoods. And all the while, building up Israel, the body of Messiah, in the truth, not with opinions of men, not by fear or by ignorance, but by the love, admiration, study, and exaltation of the unadulterated word of our Elohim. This is quite literally a call to Israel. All right, so the plan of action. I have it kind of linear here, but really it's growing all together. We have to do each of these things simultaneously. We have to become one. We've got to restore, and by restore I mean our understanding. We have to unite, come together, and build. And by unite, I don't just mean like understanding-wise. I'm actually talking about selling our property and buying and finding something that we can have together as a community. There has to be another group that does that again. In Acts 2 and Acts 4, we have two great examples of the assembly, what people would call the church, doing what they're supposed to do. And that's what we kind of have to get back to doing right now, especially with the world being as heavily Hellenized as it is, and much of our church adopting Greek customs. We'll get into all that in the introduction series. But we need to become one. It's not just enough that we should grow, but we as Israel need to become as one, having one mind and one heart. We can't just grow, we must band together. Then we have to restore. Maybe the most difficult part we are facing as Israel. It is because of all the indoctrination that has happened over the years. At least 400 years we've been heavily indoctrinated with Greek concepts. We have about 99% of today's religion teaching our Elohim in a false light. Islam, Judaism, Roman Catholicism, its predecessors and successors, that's including all of the Protestant Reformation, have played huge roles in this deception. And I'm not trying to call out anybody in these denominations. However, Islam, Judaism, Roman Catholicism, all of the Protestant Reformation, every single one of them claim that Yahovah is their Elohim, and every single one of them looks differently. So I want to take a step back with this fellowship, and I really want to tackle what it is we're supposed to be doing. We need to find our identity again, and that's, again, that'll be more in the introduction series. We need to unite. To put it simply, we need to start forming bodies of biblical republics. I'm talking Acts 2, 42 to 47, and 4, 32 to 37. And I use the word biblical republic. I feel like it's a common thing for people to just fall into democracy when they think republic, but a republic looks very different. And I say republic because if you were to look up what Israel was, they would call it a theocracy, where the ruling class were priests. However, that's not the case. If that's the case, then you can look at America as being a theocracy, seeing how the judges rule between right and wrong in this nation. But we were founded as a constitutional republic, meaning each person had to lift up the Constitution, which we have failed to do in America. What I want to do with this fellowship is to create an example that is going to show the rest of the world what exactly the Bible was requiring out of us. And it is exactly like what's happening in Acts 2, 42 and 47, and Acts 4, chapter 4, 32 to 37, where the men and women sold all their belongings, and they came together. They pooled all their resources together, and they came together as one family. Didn't matter where they're from, what their lives are doing. They stopped, and they just came together. In other words, they stopped and they started following Messiah and building, right? Each other and consequently the body. We need to show people what Israel is all about, not just feeding the poor, but turning a poor man into a man not to be trifled with. I don't just speak of the individuals, but of the body, Israel. Now I keep on saying Israel because we've fallen into this name of Christianity. But all a Christian was someone who believed in Messiah that was part of the body of Israel. All the promises made in the Bible are all written to Israel. And that hasn't changed. And the Messiah made a way for Israel to be one again. And we need to start showing the world that we can be one again. We just have to fix our understanding. We need to stop being capitalist in a capitalist world. We need to start being community-driven individuals, helping one another. And not just helping each other like how the proverb would go, if you teach a man to fish, he'll have fish for his lifetime. But if you just give a man a fish, he'll only have fish for a day. We need to start teaching people, okay, and building each other up. And then I have repeat, and it's each of these things. We do it right, we share it, and others will follow. To the point where it's not just individuals forming a body, but bodies forming larger bodies, self-sustaining, Elohim-driven, biblical republics. So I have an introduction series set up. It's all shortened versions of each of these, and I also have an introduction series set up, longer, more in detail versions of each of these lessons. The shortened ones are for anyone who's new. You will get a quick glimpse of what I'm saying about each of these things, and I just want to clarify they're not an attack on any individual. We've all grown up in a world that has been heavily Hellenized. It means that Greek concepts have been forced on us from our very birth, 2,000 years away from the Messiah, and there has been a great falling away. And it's up to us to regain that back. So in the false gospel, we're going to cover something called sensationalism, which is rampant in our belief. We'll cover the bad doctrine that surrounds the false gospel, and then we'll show how it makes contradictions, divisions, and hypocrisy. Then we'll cover the real gospel, and the real gospel is this: the reign of Elohim is drawing near, Yahovah our Elohim, and you can be a part of it. And then at that point, the question's asked, well, how do I be a part of it? And that's where the edification of the assembly comes into play. So we have to reestablish the foundation of our belief. That's the real gospel, I just told you. Expose the harlot, because the harlot is going to try to get you away from that. Introduction to the millennial reign, and what our purpose is now. Pretty much went over all that. Then we'll go into the change in the law. Where is this change, and how this change affects Israel. We have this concept here that we do things differently than how they used to do it. And it's a very bad concept, and it's built off bad precepts, all of which we're going to cover in the change in the law. And as far as I'm concerned, and my position in this fellowship, I'm going to be tackling word reviews. I know I have study here, but really it's just a review, because there is no doubt in my mind that as time goes on, these words are going to start to evolve back into what they should have been, or restored back into the fullness of what they should have been teaching us. Today they're watered down. We're given a Greek understanding of what each of these words mean, and it completely throws us off in our completeness and our shalom regarding Torah. But the three words I chose are Sheol, Kadosh, and Aman. How some would put it are, or how it's heavily translated is hell, holy, and belief. But each one of them kind of sounds the same. In Sheol, I will go over some things. I will cover Hellenization in the shortened version, and I just go right after the word Sheol in the longer version. Kadosh, I think that's the third study, and then Aman is the second study, is how I have it when it comes to the word reviews. Each one, you're going to see huge, you're going to see like what the word meant in the Hebrew, and then you're going to see what it means today, given current definitions of the translations they use. And just by taking that translation with its definition and putting it into our Bibles, you're taking in all the baggage from that bad definition. And so that's what we are going to start filtering out. And then I bring up transliterations and translations. For me, as I do my word studies and as I, advance this fellowship with a better understanding in this, in these words, whenever I do studies on any other book moving forward, I don't want to say Torah portions, but as we do studies, I'm going to start replacing each of these words with transliterations, meaning like Sheol is a transliteration, Kadosh is a transliteration. So anytime you and I are going over the Torah or going over the words of our Elohim, you're going to be required to know what these words mean. And you're going to see how it affects our understanding when we read certain verses. I have path of restoration. I have what is a birth pain, restoration versus reformation, Torah, prophets, and Messiah. So part of the restoration process is to describe what a birth pain is, because our assembly or our assemblies have gone through birth pains. Anytime there has been a growth in our belief and people have started to come back to Yahovah, the harlot and the beast have wiped it out. You can see it in our history of the history of our belief. And those are just birth pains. And that's what we have to spark again. And these birth pains will ultimately lead to what? The millennial reign. Restoration versus reformation. So reformation has played a huge role in us going away from the real truth of Yahovah or Elohim and the words that he's given us. Because all reformation is change. Change from something else. And what we're a part of today is a reformation from the Catholic Church. Better said, the Roman Catholic Church. And even deeper, it means a church that had a whole lot of Greek concepts in it. Because all the Romans just came from Greek or Hellenization. And then right in the name, Roman Catholicism, it should say there's something wrong with that. We had a lot of Protestants that reformed from the Catholic Church. But you can look it up yourself. All they did was take out the stuff they didn't like, and they maintained the stuff that they did like. And those things that they maintained, that they liked, that they didn't want to get rid of, is all based and all rooted in Greek understanding. That's what we need to also weed out. So I want to throw away all of it. I want to start right from the beginning, look at our words, review the Bible. What is it really trying to tell us? Let's not get indoctrinated by teachers who just go to seminary and are told what to think. And if you come into Torah movements, a lot of times they do Torah portions throughout the year. So you're just getting chunks of information regarding the first 5 books. I want to break away from that, and I want to cover more things along the terms of now we have Messiah, and we have the prophets, and we have the Torah. Let's take a deeper look and see how it fills up Scripture all the way. Messiah came to fully preach the Scripture. He did. Let's put it into practice. And then we're going to do the millennial reign. What it looks like. Has it happened yet? Is it now? And what does it look like moving forward? Or if it's in the future, what is it going to look like? We'll cover all those things in the millennial reign. Millennial reign teaching. Summary. Hopefully, you've made it to this slide and I've sparked your curiosity. If so, please enjoy the short introduction lessons we have put together. They will show you this fellowship is different than others. Much of the introduction series will challenge the common beliefs of our faith, better said, our Amunah. Please approach each lesson objectively with a mind free from the precepts you have been indoctrinated with. And I'm not trying to call anyone out. I'm just telling it how it is. We come from a world that's been heavily Hellenized, and we'll make it clear in this fellowship, and you'll be able to see it with your own eyes. So let's leave with a couple verses. that I find kind of say what this fellowship is trying to do. Isaiah 62:2. And the nations shall see your righteousness, and all sovereigns your esteem, and you shall be called by my name, by a new name, which the mouth of Yahuwah designates. Genesis 32:28. And he said, your name is no longer called Jacob, but Israel, because you have striven with Elohim and with men, and have overcome. That's exactly what we need to do. Isaiah 58:12. And those from among you shall build the old waste places, and shall raise up the foundations of many generations, and you will be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of streets to dwell in. Thank you for listening, and shalom.